First Timothy 6:20. O Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and vain babblings and oppositions of science falsely so called. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Shai, Bahashem Rakak. Double honors unto the apostles, double honors to the elder bishops. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth, that be like unto the speckled bird among the heathen, that look like the heathen, and to the Akwaf that are listening and learning, to you, I say Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you another lesson in truth. And this is a video on profiling by the very diligent, deep researcher, Kuti Mero. All right. And the name of the video is Henry Gates Admits Ancestry DNA Tests Are False. Rick Kittles admit it is less than 0.1% accurate. So please don't ask me the name of the video. I just said it. Type it up and find it. You know, Jake, you got to stop being so lazy, man. You want everybody to do everything for you, man. All right, but it's a very informative video, and I'm just going to show parts of it. The brother Kuti Mero goes into a lot of history that's very uncomfortable, extremely uncomfortable to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, and sometimes even uncomfortable to Jake, because we've had our mind set on things that we thought to be true, but often a lot of history was buried and hidden, and this brother's really good at finding that stuff. Going into those old books from the 15th, 16th century, which I'm always talking about, going into those old books from 300, 400, 500 years ago, because they just told history. They had no reason to lie and change everything. All that started basically with the false creation of white superiority. All right. As a matter of fact, that is a pseudoscience. There's no such thing as white people. And we're gonna let this young white girl on or Edomite on YouTube, not YouTube, but TikTok, bring it out. All right, because whiteness was made up in the 1600s, and it was actually put into law in 1681. All right, and that was the first time that it was ever appeared in any legal document in the history of mankind, a group of humanity referred to as white. All right, so they gave up their already false heritages, claiming to be Dutch and German and all that, because history will show you that those people originally were Jacob, were Saxons, but we'll get into that. But first, let's and
that's it. For us, culture is about paying for the DNA test and buying the clothes, buying the food. White American culture is about owning property, paying for the white picket fences and the lies that we hide behind them. We don't have multi-generational households. We have nuclear families. And the reason we do that is because secretly, most of us can't stand each other. We smile, we keep up appearances, we go to the family gatherings, but we don't talk about the real history of our families. We don't ask the dark questions because we know that the answers will be lies. And the reason we even need to take a DNA test is because generations before us gave up their cultures to be white Americans for the sake of white supremacy, to be part of the bigger group.
There it is. So there it is. So basically the pseudoscience behind DNA is to back up the false pseudoscience of white superiority. And that's all exposed now, man. Hey, look, Esau Edom is through. It's just a matter of time. Getting to the point where what all they're going to do now is come with their sword. They're going to use the media to demonize us for exposing them and try to turn it around. And then when that fails, they're going to use their blessing, which is they would Esau was granted that sword, that grace. So that's the matter of fact. Let me grab Revelation 6:4. And this is being done completely through the Spirit. I had this video in mind, but I didn't put together any precepts or anything. I just found the stuff, the video clips that I needed and just ran with the Spirit. But this is Revelation. Oh, that's how I got there. Revelation 6:4, and it reads, "And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And they should kill one another." She said that how they hated one another, and it's true. And they hate everyone else too. All right. "And there was given unto him a great sword." And the modern day sword is the gun. The ultimate sword is the missile. And with these things, they're going to destroy themselves. The Lord's going to destroy them by their own devices. But without any further ado, let's let Henry Gates and speak about Rick Kittle's science, falsely so called. Let me try to get right to it. Brother known for his beats. He always premieres his little beats before somebody's beats. But here we go.
In this article, it says here, genetics, the science and business of genetic.
Oh, you got to be kidding me. Damn devils. As soon as it starts. Fuck you, Esau.
Ancestry testing, all right? Deborah A. Bolnick and all these scientists, professors, all right, they contributed to this. Consumers often purchase these tests to learn about their race or ethnicity.
So you could pause it and look at all those scientists and see their credentials. So it just wasn't one; it was a group of scientists, all in agreement. And I've been saying this all along, that they always disregard human migration patterns. All right, so they'll go to Ireland and take some DNA and then say this is that and that is this, not acknowledging that the original inhabitants of Ireland are not there twice over. All right, first Japhet, then Jacob, and now and now Esau. All right, it's a lot of Edomites there now. Don't get me wrong. There's still a lot of Jakes mixed in with among the heathen that look like the heathen. A lot of Jake is still there, but it's primarily Esau in Ireland, Britain, and Scotland at this point. Let's keep that in mind.
But there is no clear-cut connection between an individual's DNA and his or her racial or ethnic affiliation. Again, there is no clear-cut connection between an individual's DNA and his or her racial or ethnic affiliation.
Wow.
Many genetic ancestry tests also claim to tell consumers where their ancestral lineage originated. All right, again, they claim, all right, and the social group to which their ancestors belong. However, present-day patterns of residence are rarely identical to what existed in the past.
See?
And social groups have changed over time in name and composition. Databases of present-day samples.
And I was saying that even before I came into this truth. When they started, because I did understand that people had migrated from different places to other places. So I was making this argument when people first started talking about this DNA stuff.
May therefore provide false leads. Thus, these tests should not be seen as determining the race or ethnicity of a test taker. They cannot pinpoint the place of origin or social affiliation of even one ancestor with exact certainty.
Wow.
They cannot pinpoint the place of origin or social affiliation of even one ancestor with exact certainty.
In the year 2000, a young black geneticist named Dr. Rick Kittles, who at the time was teaching at Howard University, sent me a letter. He's now at the University of Chicago Medical School. And he said that he was asking various African-American
men. So that goes to show you their medical schools definitely propagate false information, pseudoscience. All right, because this guy who became famous for these DNA tests is at the Chicago American Medical Association at their school. There it is.
If they would submit themselves to this new test, and through this test, he could trace on your mother's line where in Africa you are from.
And see,
Man,
that's a
that was-
further lie, because the Bible, the DNA is clearly, DNA has nothing to do with your patriarchal lineage. Your lineage of who you are is traced through your father. All right? Let's get a couple scriptures to prove that to any naysayers right out the gate. And this is the one I like the most. It makes it clear that you come forth out of your father's loins. I believe it's 1 Kings 8:19, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. And I'm going to start at verse 18. 1 Kings 8:18. And Yahweh said unto David, my father, whereas it was in thine heart to build a house unto my name, thou did well that it was in thine heart. Nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son that shall come forth out of thy loins, out of your scrotum, out of your testicles, out of your nutsack. You come out of your father's nutsack. Your father carries the seed and implants it into your mother's womb. All right, and then that woman brings forth that man's seed. All right, period. And it says, and the Lord said unto David, my father, whereas it was in thine heart to build a house unto my name, thou didst well that it was in thine heart. Nevertheless, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son that shall come forth out of thy loins, he shall build the house unto my name. So the Lord told him that your son that you haven't even had yet, that comes forth out of you, is going to build the house unto my name, not you, my servant. And that was because David had too much blood on his hands. All right. Okay. Because he had spilled too much blood. So let me now go to the next scripture to seal that point. That is the father, the patriarch, your lineage is through your father. Patriarchal lineage. There's no such thing as matriarchal lineage. That's why marriage fails, modern day marriage. It says in holy matrimony, all right, which is talking about the woman. No, it should be patrimony. See, they on the slide have woman worship here. All right, the worship of the woman. Woman is to be loved and adorned, not worshipped. All right, but this is Wisdom of Solomon 7:1, and it reads, I myself am also a mortal man, like to all, and the offspring of him that was first made of the earth. And in my mother's womb was fashioned to be flesh in the time of 10 months, being compacted in blood of the seed of man, and the pleasure that came with sleep. So that's exactly what we just read about in 1 Kings. All right. Out of his father's loins, he was shot into his mother's womb, compacted in blood of the seed of man. All right. And then it says, back in Wisdom of Solomon 7:3, it says, and when I was born, I drew in common air and fell upon the earth, which is like of the nature. And the first voice which I uttered was crying, as all others do. I was nursed and swallowed in clothes, and that with cares. But there is no king that had any beginning of birth. So the Lord came in the same way. So this scripture kills a lot of things. It destroys the lie, which is virgin birth, and it destroys the lie that you're mixed, and it destroys the lie that you come, that your lineage can be traced to your mother. Whatever your father is, whatever seed your father is, came from, therein you are, regardless of what your mother is. All right. That also destroys that black only Israelite mess too. All right. So those are two very powerful scriptures. Now let's let him continue.
Some serious stuff. And I said, yeah, I called him right away. And I said, definitely. How badly do I want to know where I'm from in Africa? But I really wanted to know. I'd wanted to know since I was 9 years old. So, let's go for it. I said, Rick, what's up, man? Where am I from in Africa? Where are my people? I want to jump on a plane and go. I thought I'd buy some land, you know, get a fine little African sister, to hook up. I was single at the time, don't get me wrong. I'm still single. Well. So he said, well, we had to run, your results were anomalous. And we had to run them many times. But we finally have figured out where you're from. You are descended on your mother's side from the Nubian people. Now, all African Americans, not all African Americans, but many African Americans want to be descended from one or two ethnic groups. Either the Zulu, because the Chaka Zulu, and the Zulu kicked the English in the behind in the Boer Wars, right? Until they finally were overcome. But you want to be Zulu, or you want to be Nubian. Who were the Nubians? The Nubians were the black pharaohs. And so a Nubian, and all these people wanted to be Nubians, descended from the black pharaohs. So I called Malefi first thing. I said, Malefi, I just got my results back. I am a Nubian. Where are you from? I am the true African prince. My friend Anthony Appiah, whose uncle was the Asantehene, the king of the Asante people. When Rick Kittle sent me a certificate announcing I was Nubian, Anthony Appiah looked at it and said, what a ton of rubbish. Now, why would he say that? Well, there's a slight problem with being either Zulu or Nubian if you're African American. You know what the problem is? None of our ancestors who came here in slavery came from South Africa, the Zulu people, or from Nubia. None. Zero.
There it is. They came from West Africa, and the West Africans came from Israel, from Scotland, Ireland, Britain. And we're gonna play another clip to prove that. And I got a book called The Negro Question. All right. And in this book, it tells you, Sir, what's his name? Sir Boyd Dawkins, I believe. He breaks down Professor Boyd Dawkins, professor of genealogy, Manchester, London. Let me put it before the screen. All right. It says the origin of the Britain, France, Spain, and England were short black men about 5'6" in height. They were in England when our fathers, white English, invaded. See, and then Cromwell, pushed all these people out. All right, and the plague came and destroyed many of them. That's how their numbers got weak. All right. It says the Basque, west into Wales, Cumberland, Waston, and the Highlands of Scotland and Devon. He said, all right, hold on, let me go back. Invaded the land. Our fathers were a warlike people who by 607 had pushed the Basque west into Wales, Cumberland, Westmore, Highlands of Scotland, and Devon. The black people boasted they were citizens of the Roman Empire, the Welsh and ancient. They were possession of Rome. They were in possession of Rome, Slovakia. They were in possession before the Romans ever came. The black Basques of Britain have brought the knowledge of iron bronze with them. All right. And then here we go down. Evidence of this civilization can be seen all over the continent of Europe, as well throughout British islands, extending as far as Germany to Switzerland. All right. It even says how their bodies were found when they dug them up all over Europe. So when we tell you that that it was Jacob that was in Europe, that was ruling Europe, and then Esau took Europe over. All right, and that's what happened. Okay. And at first, I'm gonna get to that. At first, Alexander of Macedon, the Edomite, First Maccabees, the first chapter. All right, they took over all of Europe from Japhet. Japhet was driven out. Rome and Britain rose and fell. And it even tells you in Joel that Jacob sold the Israelites. The Israelites were sold by the Hamites to the Grecians. And the new Grecians were who? Edom. See? All right. So the Edomites were now ruling in all of Europe. Okay. So I just want to present that info before I play this short clip of these. And I, typically I do not deal with IUIC, but this clip was powerful. All right, here we go. Oh shoot, sound is down. Oh, there it is.
A little study of the etymology of the language of Western Africa and the Hebrew tongue. One is involuntarily.
Oh, can you highlight it, please? So I can find it. I know where I'm at. Can you highlight it, please? No, hold on. Okay, I got it. From a little study, I got it. Go ahead.
From a little study of the etymology of the language of Western Africa.
Of what?
Of Western Africa. And the Hebrew tongue.
Go ahead.
One is involuntarily brought to trace out a similarity, and one of them to that of the tribes, which, from the disobedience to the will of God, were dispersed. And the greatest number of them possibly went to Africa. I mean, the lost tribes of Israel.
Oh,
There it is.
Thank you. Damn. There you go. Go ahead.
That was enough, man. That was actually enough. But them brothers was being a bit dramatic. I like the bomb. They dropped the bomb at the end. That's kind of funny. But it's beyond true. It's beyond true. In this book right here, the Roman Empire of the Edomite, 1853, by William Beeston, the Jewish scholars on page 7 pretty much tell you that Jewry, the Romans were Jews. All right, the Romans. Salakia, that the Romans, the Jewish tell you that the Romans were Edomites, is what I meant to say, Salakia. That was a cruel slip of the tongue. Yeah, that the Romans were Edomites. Matter of fact, let me just read it quickly. Right there. All right, it says, from the Greek nor the Roman, it says, whence came the Romans may have been returned to even registered in writing before the birth of Hamashiach, that the response proceeded neither from Greek nor Roman, but from the despised Jew. It was preserved in Jewish targums that exist among the fables and impieties and absurdities and blasphemies of the Jewish Talmud, all right, that it may be comprehended in these 20 words. The Romans came from Esau, who is Edom, and Italy, Idumea, Rome, Basra of the Hebrew prophets, proving once again that I touched the screen, Slakia, that the Romans were indeed Edomites is found in the writings of the Talmud, in their historical documents. Right? And the reason why you don't find any Edomites bones and stuff when you start digging up things in Europe is because they were eating their ancestors. That was brought out by the video that they were eating the bodies when they died. Like that that tapestry that the Elder Taz, Elder Bishop Taz, Elder Bishop Tazawam and Tazarwam and Elder Bishop I not brought out in that legendary sit down they did a couple days ago. All right, trying to find that real quick, where it showed you this tapestry right here. And I always wondered where this tapestry was from, but it's showing you in the fifth, and this is in Germany, 1540s of Israelites in a castle in Germany fighting white people from the forest, so-called. Those were your Edomites. Those were the wild men, all right, living in the woods and in the caves and things of that. So that's where that was from. So explain why these black people were living in castles in the 15th century. So when we tell you that in Braveheart and all these Viking shows that they have, that the Last Kingdom, they're lying. They're liars, man. And the reason you didn't find any of their bodies was simply because of cannibalism. And here.
Hey, it makes so much sense now. It's making even more sense now, bro. Like, we asked ourselves, we like, why y'all always digging up somebody's ancestors, bro? That's the number one question, right? Why y'all always digging somebody else up? Why not dig your own up over there? It's making sense now. The wild men. And then they go over to Egypt and then try to claim, oh, those are white people. They had red hair and blue eyes, blonde hair, blue eyes. Stop it. Just stop it. I told you, we're on to you now. We see why you don't want CRT now. Because it's going to bring your structure down. It's going to come down. It's just going to come crumbling down. It's got to come crumbling down. No kingdom reigns forever.
Did you know that instead of burying the dead, prehistoric Europeans may have ate them? A 14,700-year-old cave in England shows evidence of butchering on human bones of a variety of ages. At first, archaeologists thought maybe this is a ritualized version of defleshing, but with the discovery of teeth marks on the bones, there's a little doubt this was cannibalism. However, this site also contained a large number of animal bones, showing that they weren't lacking for food, and they didn't do this out of necessity. Plus, many of the skulls were cut very carefully to create bone cups, which does suggest a more ritual use of the bones than just meat. One suggestion is that perhaps the ancient Northern Europeans simply had an attitude of don't let good meat go to waste, which is also a possible explanation of why it's so hard to find ancient bones of prehistoric Northern Europeans. How's that for cultural?
There it is. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash, Wa Abba Babal, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.